is Dave Arnold, your host of Cooking Issues, coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, New York City, Newsstand Studios. Joined as usual with John, sitting across me. How you doing?
Doing great, thanks. Yeah.
Awesome,
Peachy.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Got Joe Hazen rocking the panels. What's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Yo. Over in, well, actually, where are you right now, Anastasia the Hammer Lopez?
In California.
California. And Jackie Molecules also, I think, in California right now. How you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm good.
Yeah, and of course, also holding down the upper left. Quinn, how you doing?
Yep, firmly planted.
Yeah. All right. So since I had so much happen in the last week, why don't you guys go first? And what do you guys got for me? What was going on in the food world in the last week?
Well, Michel Guerard died the other day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, did not know that.
Yeah. One of the big Nouvelle Cuisine people.
Cuisine Monsieur.
On Cuisine Monsieur, yeah.
Yeah. Although, I never, of course, been to any of his restaurants or the spas or anything like that. I knew, a bunch of people who cooked with him, but I never met him personally. But, a giant that I'm sure most young people have never, ever heard
seriously.
of. Like, not once. Well, I don't know if you know this. He never had a TikTok channel.
True.
Was just a rancid YouTuber. Just not very good at the YouTube at all. Insta account, garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he was in his late 80s, so...
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Not hip with the times.
Not holding it down. No Tony Bennett. Not the Tony Bennett of the chef world. So who is the Tony Bennett of the chef world?
Did you guess? But he's not old enough.
Jake prepared because it has a good media presence. He's got like a media team.
Yeah, Jackie Peeps.
Yeah.
He's still posting.
Yeah. And you think like all the young folk know about the Peep Show?
No,
I
don't think they do.
People need to check out the Jacques Pepin. That was fun having him on that time, remember?
Yeah. He's great.
Yeah.
Just a fun guy.
So he's the Tony Bennett of the chef world?
Maybe.
I don't know who Tony Bennett is. So.
Oh, jeez.
Whoa, man.
Wait, Quinn. Let's rewind your life like about 30 seconds and start fresh. Tony Bennett. You, of all people, Italian heritage in North America, don't know Tony Bennett. That's so hardcore, man. That's so hardcore. I don't. Hey,
Is no one gonna tell me?
I mean, like one of the most famous singers.
Iconic, yeah.
And not only that, like Italian, he changed his name from Benedetto in, I guess, during World War II era? When was it?
I think so.
Yeah, to Tony Bennett. Because, we're racist. And he stayed famous and popular his entire life. So in the 80s, when I guess he was in his 60s or whatever, 50s or 60s, like he made friends with a bunch of like young punk rock musicians. And so he stayed, like Flea was friends with Tony Bennett. And so like he just stayed current all the time.
Well, then most recently, like right before he died, it was Lady Gaga that he was working with, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the guy was nuts. The guy, like, he made a habit of, always supporting and being friends with, younger crowd. And so he stayed current the whole time. And his voice stayed decent. He changed what he could do, but, he stayed decent. I heard an interview, he, right before he retired from public appearance, he's like, I practiced the bel canto. I was like, he doesn't talk like that, or didn't back when he was alive. Anyway,
No,
Quinn, this is a hole. This is a hole in your experience that you need to rectify quickly. Sometimes, Quinn, I don't know, because I said to you, well, have you seen Big Night? You're like, well, of course I've seen Big Night. And then,
Well, yeah, I care about cooking. I care zero about music. So I don't know anything.
But,
except like the most popular, like surface level stuff that everyone would know.
But I can't remember. Did you not? So you see, obviously, okay, Big Night, seen it. But like, remember that the big plot of Big Night, aside from food, is music. Yeah, Louis Prima, another like Italian guy that you told me before you don't listen to, right? Yeah, whatever, man.
Yeah.
You do you. You do you. You do you. You do you. All day long. Anyway, all right. So what else we got in the week in review?
So I haven't had any incredible meals, but I have a question for the field here.
Uh-huh.
I was recently at a restaurant that I would say is not like high end, not like Michelin star high end, but expensive enough to be like, this is a good meal out. And, they did the thing that a lot of people do now. It's like, you ask for something to go and they just sort of bring you the quart container or like, the stuff, and they're like, you do it.
Right.
When is that acceptable and unacceptable?
You mean from a price point perspective?
Yeah, because I think for me, I expect at a certain level, I'm like, well, this has crossed the threshold of, price point where I should be expected to pack my own leftovers.
So so there's two things. There's one, the leftover just comes in a quart container in a plastic bag, sticking to it, and it ends up on your table, right? There's nicely packing it and handing it to you as you go. There's dropping it in the quart container on your table in a nasty plastic sack, and then there's make you pack. So you're at the U-Pack sitch? Wait, we got it.
And no, there's not a call. But then there's a friend of mine who brings their own Tupperware to the restaurant for having to put the food in their Tupperware.
And you've remained friends.
Yeah. That's genius. That's so disruptive.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's like, no offense to David from Glass Fan, you should go and get the promotion from Glass Fan, 10% off Glass Fan with the promo code Dave Arnold, but I'm never bringing my own glasses to a restaurant, not ever. Not ever. Not one time. I do bring, Nastasi and I have been known to bring our own arugula, but only after how many times, Stas?
French?
No, it's the pizza place. How many? So many.
Yeah.
Nastasi,
Well, they had a salad of arugula.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't. Yeah.
You know why? Because they didn't like us.
We brought our truffle for that. That was obnoxious.
Yeah, that's obnoxious. Or like, I've been known to bring my own crushed red pepper to places but only if I know they're not going to have it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, the arugula thing was more just Nastasi and I making a point. Because they owned it, but they wanted to save it for their salad. And we were literally like, have any of you seen 5 Easy Pieces?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who haven't seen it, it's an early Jack Nicholson movie. And the famous thing is he wants toast. And the server's like, we don't have toast. And he's like, you have a chicken salad sandwich? And they say, yeah. Can I have the chicken salad sandwich on toast? And she's like, yeah. She's like, well, then I want a chicken salad sandwich. Hold the chicken salad. And so they're like, where do you want me to hold the chicken salad? I want you to hold it between your knees, like that. So that's him like trying to get the thing. And it was the same thing with Stas and I and the thing. It's like, you have a freaking arugula salad. I'll buy the salad, put it on the pizza. And they wouldn't do it. In fact, they refused to bring us the arugula once we said that's what we were going to do.
But you would sit at the table with the clamshell of arugula like on the table next to you. It was really pretty obnoxious.
But you know what I loved about Roberta's? Got to give love where love is deserved. Chili oil on the table at all times. Chili oil on the table at all times. Love chili oil.
Yeah.
Chili oil, good product. Here's a weird non-food thing before you guys finish more stuff in the food, but I have to. So for those of you that have been listening over the past however many, whatever, my son Dax was working in Alaska, right? In Juneau, Alaska. Now, the way gold works is this. When panning for gold. So you have these high, very steep mountains, and you have like a lot of snowpack that melts and makes these kind of fast rushing, so like almost straight down streams. And when they're doing that, any gold that's in their hills washes down to the bottom of where the streams flatten out. You go down there, you scoop up a boat ton of silt, you get rid of the really, really, really fine silt. And then you sit there and you float because gold is the heaviest damn thing in there, right? But, by weight. You float off all the other rocks and whatnot and a panning thing, and you get gold left over. So we go to the gold mining museum in Juneau, and there are a couple real hardcore, like outdoor, like 0% body fat, burnt by the sun to crisp, like maybe they were meth heads. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like panning for gold, right? And they strike up a really cool conversation, like with, my Dax is there and, for old time fans of the show, his dirtbag buddy, Nico. So Nico and Dax are there and we're talking to these people about panning for gold. And did I say this before? The best piece of information I've ever learned from a human being. Did I tell you guys this one? The guy goes, see the side of the mountain over there? See the rocks? I'm like, yeah. He's like, see how they're red? Yeah, that's iron. You know what they say? I said, what? They say gold rides an iron horse. And I was like, what? Like you're panning for gold. You look around, you got to have some red rocks around because why?
Yeah.
Because gold rides an iron horse. And I was just like, that's sick. That's sick. That's awesome. That's like everyone's biography should be gold rides an iron horse. So anyway, so I'm like, I'm never going to see these fellas again. That's awesome. And I never did. So Nico, of course, is in the shop selling whatever he is, phone cards and whatever else. Guy walks in. One of the guys walks in. The 0% body fat guy, no shirt, still walks in, middle of town, no shirt, pays for a pair of sneakers from Nico in gold flakes. In gold flakes. Nico's like, I have no idea how much this is worth. He's like, you know what? I would love to get paid in gold flakes just once in my life. So he took it and he's like, I'll absorb any difference. I'll absorb any difference so I can get paid in gold flakes. And I was like, Alaska, man. Alaska's crazy. Yeah, all right. So what else you guys got?
I actually missed something last week. For my sister-in-law's birthday, we did a Mexican theme, and I was in charge of dessert. So instead of a tres leches, I made an ocho leche cake.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we had a conversation. Why an even number? You know everybody hates even numbers. Why even?
well, I thought ocho sounded the best.
I mean, siete is a cool word.
I think ocho is funnier.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead. So what were the 8 milks?
What does the crowd think? What's a better sounding number of Spanish milks?
15. Got to go 15. 15 milks. First of all, it has to be odd.
15 milks.
Oh, are you lazy? Are you lazy? Anyway, so like, what were the 8 milks?
Okay, regular cow milk, obviously, whole milk. Goat milk, regular evaporated milk, milk powder, yogurt, I counted as a milk,
Okay.
a new milk,
All right.
and then 3 levels of caramelization for sweetened condensed milk.
I don't know, man. That seems like you're cheating on that last one. How about sheep milk?
We can get sheep milk.
Camel milk. Yak milk. That'd be awesome, right? So you're counting 3
Well,
different levels of caramel. Let me ask you this in all seriousness. Putting a lightly caramelized, a medium caramelized, and a fully caramelized is going to be burnt tasting, right?
There was uncaramelized. So there was regular
you had
milk.
4 all day, right? You had 3 levels of
3 total.
caramelization and 1 uncaramelized.
Sorry. I misspoke. 2 caramelized and then 1 unaltered.
And so what do you get out of 2 different levels of caramelization in the milk? Or was it a mistake that you just added together?
No, that was on purpose.
All right. What do you get out of the 2 different levels?
Different, flavors.
Right. But you think, in other words, you think that was like better than, or just an experiment, better than just choosing the 1 level of caramelization that you like the best?
Mm-hmm.
You think it was noticeable in other words, you think it was noticeable in the end result and better to have 2 different caramelized. I'm not arguing that. I didn't taste it, but I'm saying you think it was better.
Yeah, I do.
All right. Okay. Like, was one really dark? Like, to the point of bitter? To the point of, like, to the point of, like...
Yeah, like, right on that line.
Yeah. All right.
And that one I paired, so basically there was 3 soaks, and each soak had 2 milks. And then there was 2 other components with a milk each.
No, so it's by the layer. So you could break it apart if you're like, I hate those milks, then I could avoid those milks in their entirety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to say something very unpopular. I don't like soaked cakes. That's me, though. I don't like...
That's fair.
I don't like... You know what it is? It's the way that they break apart. It's the way that when you put them in your mouth, the crumb is like... and comes apart. Don't like. You know what I mean? Like babas, all those things. I could do without them. I'll eat them. I don't hate them. I could do without them. You know what I'm saying? If someone said to me, I'm going to give you a wet cake, or they said, I'm going to give you a cake, I'd be like, I'll take the cake. over the wet cake. What about you guys? You wet cake people?
I enjoy it, but like, yeah, I guess I won't order it.
And what about you, Styles? You were going to say something.
I don't really understand. Give me like a real life description, like a real thing.
Yeah, you make like a sheet cake and you soak the hell out of it with liquid, and then you like pretend that it's a cake again.
Okay.
I mean, the French used to do it all the time because genoise is the worst cake in the world. So they take a trash can cake, like by all accounts, trash, filth, and then they like pour rum or other stuff into it to try to take this dry, terrible cake and make it palatable. Like that's.
Well, wait a minute, Dave.
Oh,
what about tiramisu?
Don't like it.
What?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't hate it. First of all, you know what? When I want coffee, I'll drink it. You know what I mean? Like I don't need it in cocktail form. I don't need it in like ice cream form. I can eat it. I don't hate it, but I'm never like I want a coffee flavored thing. So when you combine a coffee flavored thing with
what about coffee crisp?
Coffee crisp? Is this like a Cookie Crisp reference? Do you like Cookie Crisp?
The chocolate bar from Canada.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, I do. Like I like some. In general, coffee is not my favorite flavoring for things. I like coffee. You know what I mean? Especially if I don't like the texture of it. Are you guys all tiramisu freaks? How are your feelings on tiramisu?
I like it.
Yeah. You know what I like? And the name of it just went out of my head. What is it? Oh, when they make the big ice cream thing and it's tartufo. I love it when a waiter comes in like a big Italian, but they go, tartufo! And it's the big like ice cream ball thing. I don't know why. I just like the word. It's like, I will go steal a second one just so I can hear someone say tartufo. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's good. It's a good word. All right. What else you guys got? Because I got so much. I was in Korea, and I went to so many places. Ate so much stuff.
I got one more.
What do you got?
No one else has.
What do you got?
Just a little experiment. I made my riff on sag paneer.
Oh, nice. All right.
So I followed a pretty classical sort of recipe. Well, I sort of amalgamated like 4 recipes.
Okay.
Pre-Krishna recipe, a Mahardrafuri recipe, and then like 2 random online recipes that were in Hindi. So I'm like, okay, this, network of ingredients should sort of average out.
Right, I did not know that you could read Hindi. That's awesome. Like Google Translate? You Google Translate those suckers?
Google Translate,
yeah. So let me ask this. How did you treat the spinach? Did you squeeze the ever-loving snot out of it, or do you just let it kind of sit in its own filth?
We used kale and chard.
Oh, well, how sog then? To use your kind of phrase where you change anything and it's not that thing anymore, like you did to me on the shakshuka, when all I did was low temp the eggs and add them afterwards.
Spinach is palak paneer. Sog is like mustard greens.
Oh, well, you didn't use that either, though.
Chard is closer.
Closer? No cigar. No cigar.
Well, it's a hearty green.
All right. Kale. What was the other one? Kale and what? Chard?
Chard.
Yeah.
You know what? Anyone that cooks their freaking chard, cooks their kale, I'm happy with. Anytime kale gets cooked, I'm a happy guy. Anytime it's not like...
Yeah, we cooked the crap out of that kale.
Yeah, good. That's the way God wants kale to be consumed. Was not designed to be a raw green. You know what I mean? If you have to slice it so thin that you can't notice its texture in order to consume it properly when it's raw, maybe it shouldn't be raw. You know what I mean? If you have to eat it as a tiny little baby in order to eat a whole leaf and not be like, oh, what the hell is that, right?
Or have to massage it.
Oh, yeah.
I like mine with turkey sausage.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. And
Cooking turkey sausage?
Mm-hmm. Shallots and garlic.
Do you know when I was growing up what my favorite was? It was escarole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, escarole.
Oh, yeah. Eat that all day.
My mom, her thing was she would cut up, old timey, like, 80s, 70s days. She would cut up a pepperoni and bacon. She would fry the bacon, pepperoni, garlic, then throw in the can of beans, and then the escarole, wilt it all down. She used the cannellini beans, and then. But that was one of my favorite things growing up. Eat that. Your meat, your beans, your greens, all in one Megillah. Can't lose. Now when I make it, I add a little mustard too. My mom didn't, I don't think, used to add mustard, but I add a little mustard because, John, what does mustard make?
Everything delicious.
That is correct. Ding, 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 ding. Speaking of everything delicious, how is the Belgian menu faring?
Good. The last 2 dishes are going to be rolled out by Friday.
Give us a preview.
Well, steak au poivre, so hanger steak.
Okay,
nice
talk to me about
sauce.
your poivre sauce. Your poivre sauce.
So the green peppercorns in brine.
Uh-huh. Do you have to soak them, or can you use them straight out of the brine?
Straight out of the brine.
Okay.
Really spicy. So you have to use them in moderation. Then the sauce,
Do you black pepper the steak or no? Is there any black pepper involved at all?
There isn't more in the sauce. I haven't decided whether or not yet I wanted to crust the steak.
Are you a believer that I like pepper crusted and burnt? And people are like, it's bitter. And I'm like, and?
No, it's good. Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out the spice level of it.
Hey, I was like, Stas, you remember back when Steingarten used to tell us that we were idiots for putting pepper on beforehand and that it loses all of its aromatics? And we're like, we can add it afterwards too, Jeffrey. It's not all or nothing, my friend. I can't get in touch with him, Stas. You try. Maybe he'll answer you. I tried getting in touch with his wife, Karen. I tried getting in touch with him. The guy's off the map. I don't know what happened. I mean, last time we saw him, he wasn't in such great physical shape, but I don't know. I feel like I would know if he was completely gone. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you have better luck with this stuff than I do.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the sauce.
Sauce, yeah.
So beef stock, made beforehand, and then the sauce start off with really browning like the meat scraps from the trim.
Oh, yeah. Wait, do you brown this steak or do you brown yesterday's steak today? In other words, are you saving yesterday's deglaze so that you don't have to worry about it today, or is he doing it pan by pan?
Right now doing it pan by pan. I anticipate it being a complete nightmare. Well, no, not with that, actually. I guess like the meat reduction stuff I put into cup containers and have frozen. But yeah, sear the meat really hard, add the beef stock, reduce it. And
so far, yeah, old school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there's nothing crazy about this. And yeah.
Do you cream it?
Yeah, cream at the end. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so.
And
shallots.
No, we used to add like some cognac, yakety yak. Little sugar?
No. Mustard, too.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously,
Belgique.
I should try
a little bit. I mean, not early because you don't want it to like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like right before it finishes, just to like take the edge off.
Round it out. Yeah.
Take the edge off that. Take the edge off that pepper and like kind of like integrate the yak.
Yeah.
Because yak's totally dry.
Yeah.
Because like I think at first because like one time I did it with like a sweeter wine, like a masala or something like that.
Yeah.
And it I like the sweetness.
Okay.
A little bit, not a bow ton, not like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll give it a go.
You think people are afraid of adding sugar to things now? I think a little bit of sugar helps a lot of things.
Agreed. Yeah.
Especially
like dressings and things like that.
It's undercalled for in recipes.
Right, but do you think that's because like commercial preparations are so sweet, like Domino's pizza sauce and like a lot of like stock Chinese American food, and that so much sugar is consumed that everyone's like, I don't want it sweet. I don't want sweet. I know no one said made it sweet. Just said add a little bit.
I think it's also a misunderstanding of where the sugars come from. It's like corn syrup. Not all sugars are the same, and people are just dumb. So yeah.
Anyway, all right. So I was in Korea, and I went to so many places. First of all, here's something you should never do. You should never get on a 14-hour plane ride that lands at 5 a.m. and then have your prep for your demo start at 10 a.m. and then have your demo be at 12 that day. This is what we refer to as stupid. Stupid.
And whatever happened with you were bringing stuff in your luggage.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I was talking about that. It all worked. No one said anything to me. It all worked. So I blended I went to 8 places, found the red habaneros because I got to use the newer style Rotovaps. Super interesting. Super expensive. So, it all worked. So I blended the habaneros 1-to-1 so that the ABV would be high, but I wouldn't have to carry a lot of volume with me. And then I just added more vodka while I was over there, and then redistilled it. So I finally got to use the fancy controller that Nastasia and I never got a hold of on the Roto app. And Stas, it does make life a boat ton easier. It's not perfect yet. It's not perfect because it's still designed by lab weasels. But
do you get to keep?
No, I got to keep it. My argument with them was you're going to want to show the fanciest one so that people are going to want it. But the issue is that if you haven't used the fancy one, and if you just take on rotary evaporation as a thing you want to do, which is, by the way, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, it's a vacuum distillation. But for the kind of work that we do, where you're distilling something and the boiling point keeps changing, right? You want to keep changing the vacuum pressure so that you can keep the distillation going at the exact same rate the whole time. So that's the thing. I also used the boil over sensor, Stas. You would have loved it. You literally push a button and walk away from it. You push a button, walk away.
When are you reverse engineering this?
So, like back when I was at the FCI, we were making a one for the bar, and then we just realized, hey, nobody wants this. So we stopped. Maybe now if we were in another country, we could, because the sad thing is that a lot of them, even though we're demonstrating Buki, they're all buying, really cheap ones off of Alibaba. But the real thing is that, if you're going to build it into everyday practice and you don't have the good control, I guess it's only a matter of time before the knockoff ones on Alibaba also have the good controllers. But you really need a good controller and a good chiller. That's the thing. But in the United States, there's still just not enough of a market for it. Maybe there is in Asia, and because how many would we have to sell? It's such a heartache. Anytime we take on a product, John, Quint, everyone here but Jack and Joe can commiserate on this. It's just such a heartache to try to bring a product into the world.
Especially our products. We have to tell people why they need them.
Yeah.
We have to justify the price. We have to deal with the manufacturer.
And tell people to go to spinball.com and pre-order their Spinball today.
Yeah. Or maybe if you're in Asia, we still have 30 of them over there, and you can buy them and they'll arrive right away. Things you have to do. The things you do for love. Like walking in the rain and snow. Nowhere to go.
Now, Dave, the question in everyone's mind, you demonstrated this new rotovap, and then after, how was it cleaned?
Oh, by other people. Yeah.
No.
That's my favorite way to go.
Did you tell them? Did you tell them?
Well, Quinn.
That important critical step?
You know why I did? There was no licking involved, so this saves me from getting canceled. And the reason is because we had the boil over sensor. So there was not one speck of licking involved. It never even got close. It would go up. So for those of you who don't know, the way it works is you have a liquid. I used the Nastasia the Hammer Lopez technique, which it was her idea to add SPL to the. And so someone in the audience was like, "You can add SPL to prevent boilovers." I was like, "I know." Nastasia taught me that 10 years ago. Joker, idiot. I didn't say that. So I was like, Stas was like, why don't we just add SPL? Because we used to sit around. When you first start a boil, you're not actually boiling it. You're getting rid of the gas that's in it. And the things that tend to hold foam, the gas vapors move so quickly through the flask that it looks like you're setting off a model rocket. Just bam, just goes right through the thing. And, classic, what we used to call vegan face, Nastasia would make when it would blasted through, and then she would just sit there shaking her head. How unpleasant was this, Nastasia? So unpleasant, right?
So unpleasant, yeah.
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 So,
and all of our engines would break the machine. Remember that? That was the worst.
Oh, yeah. So I'm thinking, because we had done vacuum demos all the time, so one of the good uses for a vacuum pump is to de-aerate something. So if you let's say you make a gazpacho and you use a blender instead of chopping, it gets the color gets all ruined, right? So because there's air in it. So you can stick your gazpacho in a wide, tall tub in your vacuum machine, suck a vacuum on it, and as soon as it goes up, you'll see it rises way, way, way up in the cambro, and then boom, falls, and then starts boiling. And once you do that, no more air in it. But it's that initial rise, which is way higher before the fall, that you need to get done. So Nastasia's brilliant idea was to add an enzyme to the fruit puree so that it just didn't have the viscosity and it wouldn't boil as hard. So yes, we did also do that, but the boil over sensor, but it's like $2 or $3 grand, Stas. It's so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so like I was talking to people and they're like, yeah, we'd love to have the Buki, but it's so expensive. They end up buying the one off Alibaba. Whatever. Can't help it. But I did get to make my favorite, one of my top favorite all times. I did the habanero redistillation with the clarified grapefruit juice. Yeah. Good. By the way, also crazy. Get this. So you know how I use polydextrose a lot now? I've talked about that on air a bunch of times, right? So polydextrose, I love it. We have a 50-pound sack. So I finally find a 50-pound sack, and guess what just happened? Tate and Lyle, the biggest producer, the one that we use, I think there's another one, producer, they, for some reason, have a shortage now. And so now that I finally found the source, we're in a shortage. We're in like a worldwide polydextrose shortage. Of course there is. Anyway, of course there is. So the people who had me over there were Odd Strandbakken and Alyssa Height, who husband and wife team running the Charles H. Bar at the Four Seasons, which is kind of cool. You very rarely see that in a hotel. You see that like in like a single owner thing. That bar, actually, the first head person at that bar was Chris Lauder, who worked with me back at Booker and Dax. So it's like a full circle situation. Four Seasons, nice hotel. Four Seasons Seoul. Nice hotel. And worked with Sophie Hahn at LVMH over there, with Whistle Pig and Buki. Anyway, so here are the places. I went to a bunch of places. I don't know. I shouldn't mention them all. I'm going to do a Instagram, so I can put them all. Otherwise, we're going to sit here and I'm going to talk about, because I literally in the course of 3 nights went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bars and. 10 bars and actually had drinks, right? But to me, the fun thing over there, like the thing that I most want to do over here is makgeolli. So makgeolli is like their rice, brewed rice product in a bunch of different forms. But instead of using koji, they use something called nuruk, where what you do is you take wheat and you kind of crack it, and then you take wheat flour, and then you very low hydration. You knead the heck out of it until it starts kind of forming, until it has a slight bind to it. And then you step on it. You put it in like cheesecloth kind of thing in a mold, and you step on it, crush it down until it forms a kind of a brick, like a solid brick, like you're making a brick. Then you put it in straw or some other form of like, vegetation in like a humid box, and you let it mold out for days, turn it all, days, weeks. And then you dry it, put it in the sun to, disinfect all that. I don't know how much of that's real, all like the kind of hoo-ha. But then you break that up and you add that to, you can add to a bunch of things. One of the steamed rice. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. And then you get makgeolli, which is they're kind of most of them are unfiltered, and you actually have to turn it upside down, up, down. And they have like champagne style where there's residual carbonation, where they bottle it. And then they bottle it, allow it to ferment some more, and it gets really carbonated. It's just a really delicious, fun beverage that is kind of a living beverage. So you can't get it over here because the pasteurized stuff isn't. You can get it, but the pasteurized stuff's wah. You know what I mean? And there's just a huge range of flavors. Like in the way that there's a huge range of flavors in beers, there's a huge range of flavors. So some of them go through different kinds of, not just acetic, but also like citric and malic acid. Some of them are low acid. And the alcohol levels can be really high, even though they're just yeast fermentations, like really high. Like some of them are low, and some of them are really high. So like, anyway, it was super interesting. All right. So enough of that, but I brought you some Korean snacks. Yeah? So to taste out. Now, the Orion Corporation, right, makes a gummy. Now, I thought Kasugai gummy. What's your gummy of note? Like if you're going to go non-European gummy, what's your gummy of note?
I don't know.
What about European gummy? Haribo?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you guys? You guys have any gummy feelings? I know Nastasia must have some gummy feelings.
Haribo.
And which are I always forget, because you have to remind me. I should remember. I should be a better friend. Which are the colors that you hate, and which are the colors that you like?
I like the black berries and not the red ones.
So you don't like the red bears. If Nastasia Lopez hands you a handful of red bears, she's going to pretend...
Berries.
Berries. What about the bears, though? Don't you have different gummy bear colors that you don't like? You've many times blind tasted all the colors of all the candies and like been able to pick them out.
Yeah. I only like the white bears.
You only like the white bears.
Wow.
So if Nastasia is going to give you a handful of bears, you're going to notice that there's no white bears in it, and she's going to pretend like she's doing you a favor rather than foisting her spence on you.
Well, no, Dave, because you can't taste the flavors. So what does it matter?
I don't think I've ever blinded them. I just don't. I just didn't believe you until you blinded them. I just don't care because what I do is take a handful of them and shove them in my mouth. That's how I operate.
Yeah, sort of how I.
Yeah. So these gummies, Happy Fruit Orion. Where's the camera?
There it is.
Yeah. So this might be like the most technically advanced gummy I've ever had in my life.
Okay.
It's kiwi, so put that there. Green kiwi. I'm going to hand these out. So the inside and the outside have a different texture. And not only do the inside and the outside, it's kind of like looks much softer on the inside, but they have seeds on the inside, so it mimics the seed texture. Eat that thing. It's delicious. It's delicious. You ever had a gummy like that?
That is pretty crazy.
That's a good gummy. They have Kyoho grape gummies, but they don't have the little seeds in them. I mean, like, the seed technology just takes it.
It's really good.
That's like a nutty product.
You said they had grape ones too?
They have, Kyoho. They have several variety of grape.
Concord?
Well, the Kyoho has some of that Concord Fox. I believe it is a that style with a vinifera cross. I think. I don't know. Here's another one. Look at this. Look at this, folks. So this is a fried chicken snack, right? Now, can't read any of it because there's not even one little bit of
like chicken in a biscuit?
Yeah, but it's just like little fried chicken drumsticks, but it's all in like it's all in Korean script, so I can't read it. But what's awesome about it is it opens like a chicken box. So when you're eating it, right, you can eat it like it's coming in a box of chicken, and that's part of the big money, cash money of the whole thing. So you can. So it looks like.
Oh wow!
It looks like you've gotten a box of chicken, right? And try that. First of all, level of crunch on that sucker. Wow, look at that. Level of crunch on that stuff. Just bananas. I mean, that's a good product. First of all, it has the feeling of like old school Kentucky Fried Chicken, and that's like a little pebbly on the outside, like almost like it's breadcrumb fried, and it's just crunchy as all get out.
That's delicious.
That's great, right?
Wow.
Korean snack game. Hi. Also, here's a random fact for you while I'm getting the next thing out. Korean Baskin-Robbins on point. Korean Baskin-Robbins. So I went to a Baskin-Robbins in Seoul in a traditional.
How many flavors?
More than 31, I think.
Oh, always.
I think more than 31. But they did a corn soft serve and a corn waffle cone, and the way they serve it, they put a little pipette of sesame oil and they jam that sucker in. So you get the cone, you go whoop, and you go whoop beep, and you put the sesame oil. And by the way, when you're at a Korean market, they have the fresh pressed, like everyone's doing fresh pressed oil. So you can buy the fresh pressed sesame oil, fresh pressed perilla oil. And much like if you go to a market, let's say in Mexico, and you have like, oh, this is the mole place, you have like the bean paste places. And I bought a bunch of like really good bean paste to come back with. They have the markets. I love going. Every real cook loves going to a market. If you don't love going to a market, you shouldn't be a cook. You really shouldn't be a cook if you don't like it. That's maybe a strong statement, but I mean it. I mean it though. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure I mean it. All right, here's another one for you. So this is based, I believe, on Mexican churros, right? Now this snack is for the camera here. This snack, again, there's nothing. Oh, here, new chocolate churros flavor, as the name suggests. The chocolate churros, not a great translation. Every 4-layered chip is top the crispier. It doesn't make any sense. It's not in anything. But this is God's crunchy chocolate. Oh my God, you're gonna go nuts. Oh my, it smells like Cocoa Krispies, but like imagine if your breakfast cereal.
Oh wow.
Yeah. No. Eat one of those. It's the lightest, crispiest thing ever. How good is that?
Yeah. Wow.
How good is that? It's ridiculous. Also, explicitly against my wife's orders, I had the live octopus, but not the whole one on the chopstick where they chop it up. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I prefer to have my octopus cooked. I would prefer you provide me with a non-living octopus. Man, that chicken got to you, man.
So for you, kale and octopus, better cooked.
Yeah, at least dead. At least on the octopus, I want it blanched. You know what I mean? Like, bare minimum.
Sad.
What do you say, Stas?
That's really sad. That's really sad. They're like the smartest creature, and you ate it live. That's horrible.
Well, they cut it up. I mean, you have to kill any creature you're going to eat. They have to, at some point, kill it to eat it. So they chopped it up, and it's squirming around on the plate. You could pick it up, the plate, by the octopus. Because the suckers are still like fully operational battle stations. Again, it wasn't ideal for me. Like it wasn't what that wasn't my favorite of the things that I had. I would not get that necessarily again. But people they like it. They like it. Went to a bar, by the way. You'll think this is funny, Stas. Went to a bar called Carbonic Bar, like carbonation. You walk in, and 3 sides of it are giant lit aquariums with just bubbles going up. So huge rows of like tubes with bubbles. So it's like you're in like a giant bubble bath or some sort of Esther Williams like swim phantasm thing. And they only serve carbonated drinks, but they don't. And so you'd like this part. They don't do any of their own carbonation. They don't do it. Isn't that weird? Yeah. Yeah. You know what else you would like about Seoul, Stas? A lot of welcome champagne. A lot of welcome champagne. You know what I mean? Like all the high-end places, you get some welcome champagne. And, you'd be like, yes, I feel welcomed. Thank you. Right? Yeah.
Yes.
If Nastasia the Hammer Lopez ever shows up at your bar, you could do worse than just hand her a bottle of, or a glass of, rosé champagne. Or just regular if you don't have it. You know what I mean? Don't give her cut rate Prosecco. She doesn't want that. I mean, she'll drink it, right? Am I wrong here?
Yeah, but same with you, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, and I realize that we're not, all people aren't like us, right? But I'm never upset if someone says to you, "Would you like a glass of champagne?" Well, yes, thank you. Right? Yes, I would. It's just an enjoyable beverage. It's a well-made, enjoyable beverage. You know what I mean? You know what LVMH owns? A lot of good champagne. LVMH owns a lot of good champagne. Old school, not you grower freaks who are like, I only drink a champagne if only 5 bottles of it are made by one guy and he came to my house and I've met his goat. You know what I mean? Like, they own like larger brands, like Ruinart. I think they own Ruinart. They own Krug. They own a lot. They own a lot of good stuff. All right. So let's take some questions. Monty writes in about, I guess, last week's show. Totally agree about thimbleberries. So for those of you who don't remember, that was my favorite berry that I've ever harvested, maybe ever had. To me, they taste like jam, especially when picked warm. Fun fact, it's also known as nature's toilet paper because the leaves are incredibly soft and conveniently sized. Yeah, they are big and furry. Nice to wipe your behind with. You know what else they have in those forests? I think I mentioned this, is hemlock trees. Hemlock trees are good for bedding because of all of the kind of conifers. They're the softest. So you got your bedding, you got your toilet paper, and you got your berries, hanging out in the rainforest there. You're good to go in the temperate rainforest. Dr. Smokehouse writes in and says, I harvested my first bear this spring, and since RFK won't take my calls, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about there, I guess, presidential candidate, RFK Jr., threw a dead bear into Central Park.
Yep.
And because he didn't have time to skin it and eat it, he thought it might be fun to throw it in Central Park. And what's up, Joe? Oh, you got it up there. Is that the bear can we talked about? Sick. Bear chilling. And yeah. So anyways, that's what that is. No one knows why he did that, whatever, why he would admit to it at this point. I guess it was going to come out, right? Someone's like, I know you threw that bear.
Yeah.
By the way, what kind of crime is that? It's just a D-bag thing to do, to make someone clean up your bear.
He was coming back from his falconry trip upstate with his friends.
As one does.
Exactly. He sounds so out of touch. But yeah, and then the person in front of him had just hit this bear cub.
Yeah, sure. It was the person ahead of him. He didn't do it.
Yep, exactly. But he noticed it was in great shape and could be harvested for its meat. And so took it back. But then had to go to a party, couldn't let the bear sit in the car overnight, so we just dumped it in Central Park and set up some bikes to make it look like an accident. And just
So he messed up someone's bike.
Yeah.
Right? Something about he stuck his hand in the bear, something crazy thing, right? But it's just a D-bag thing to do. You know what I mean? It's also, I guess, illegal because you're not allowed to touch if you don't have like the right licenses and permits and whatnot.
Well, apparently you can keep that, but you have to report it to the state police immediately.
So you can keep the bear.
Yes.
So because there is a hunting season on it, so if I strike a deer, I'm allowed to eat that deer?
I don't know. In the article I read, it was just about the bear.
Because I was under the impression that possession of game without a license is not okay ever.
I think from this, at least in New York State, if it was an accident and looked like it, if the cop showed up, it sounds
but then then anyone who's poaching could be like, it was an accident, officer. I accidentally shot it in the heart and then have it here and I'm skinning it.
Well, maybe only a car accident.
Well,
like you can't
I was target shooting. I was target shooting in my preserve, and I accidentally shot this deer in the heart. It's like, I don't know. None of that makes any sense to me. This is why you're not allowed to harvest feathers. You're not allowed to have any feathers, even if you find them on the ground, because you can't prove to the authorities that you didn't poach the bird and take the feathers, right?
Yeah.
You can't prove that it was molted. Anyway. Dr. Smokehouse found a bear and wanted some thoughts on recipes. It's intramuscularly a lean meat. Thus far, I have done smash burgers using bear fat, which were outstanding. I also sous vide the loin according to the guidelines I found to avoid trichinosis. 137 for 3 hours, and then seared and found out okay. Probably a little. Anytime you take the tender loins of any of any of these things, and you cook them for a long time, they get fibrous-y. Not the best. So I see it was okay, but was looking for some New York City input on what I might try. Well, Dr. Smokehouse, the only bear I've ever cooked sucked. It sucked. It was so bad. Stas, how bad was that bear?
So bad. So bad.
It was like, that was the one. I think the raccoon was worse, but the bear, wasn't that the one that tasted like we were chewing on pennies? There was so much like blood and metal and iron in it. Ugh. Ugh. Woof.
Yeah.
But plenty of people eat bear all the time. So I just think it really, like Hokkaido, which I've always wanted to go, I'll eat their bear boss. So I think a lot depends on the bear. But the short answer is Dr. Smokehouse. That I have very, very, very. The knowledge that I do have shows that I'm bad at it. So I don't think that my advice would be welcome in this case. I would like to have somebody else's properly cooked bear, maybe at some point. But I can't. I think someone told me it's like younger bears taste better, maybe. Or maybe it depends on what they're eating or what point, because they go through these huge cycles of fat, lean over the seasons. When they're getting ready to hunker down for the winter, they get hugely fat. Maybe that's when it tastes good, or maybe the one we had, Stas, when it was leaned down. I don't know, but it's just unpleasant. But I know, for instance, maybe Josh Kuhn up there in up in the upper middle of our country is a big hunter. Maybe has some recommendations. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So maybe. Biff Ditt writes in, hey, Dave, you mentioned that the only good options for ice cream making were salt and ice or a $10,000 machine. What about the Chef's crumbled dry ice method? Can you discuss? I think I said the two best machines in terms of ice crystal size, right? So obviously, whatever you make that you like is fine. I'm just saying the highest quality traditional ice cream texture from a traditional churn is either by using a lot of power, right, freezing power, and that's what those big machines have, right, plus control and blah, 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 or a lot of power in the form of ice and salt, because that's very, very powerful. And so all of the ones in between are much lower powered, and therefore it takes them a lot longer to freeze a batch. That's what I meant. So dry ice, I guess, would make it go fast. I hate working with dried ice. Got to be honest. Don't like working with it. I'm sure it'll work. And then I haven't read their thing on it, but if you powder it enough, you just got to make sure that all the dry ice is gone. The problem with using dry ice to freeze things is that if you get a chunk of dry ice and the chunk is too big, it forms a coating of water ice around the dry ice that then kind of insulates the because it's also aerated, insulates the dry ice and actually prevents it from freezing. So now you have like a little meteorite of frozen like ice cream base around a dry ice core, and that can stay there for a long time. So I just don't. I'm not. I don't know. I mean, it's easier to get. It's easier to get than LN. That's true. It's easier to get than LN, but it's inherently crappier.
No, Dave, you have had the product of the Ninja Creamy, so you could give a tentative thumbs up, right?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff you made in the Creamy was good, but like I think what you really need is for the PacoJet Corporation to send you a PacoJet so you can see what the difference is. I mean, from what I hear from Chris Young who was on, we talked about it, right? Is that the main thing is just a PacoJet is pretty much wall to wall, top to bottom, done, and the Creamy has some stuff in between that, like the chunks, and you have to multiply process and stuff like that, but. Look, no one who is smart is gonna say that. There's got to be a better word than Pacotize. Creamify, but they're both so terrible.
I call it blade-driven processing.
All right. Well, you could try. You could try to make that one stick, Quinn. See if you can make that one stick. But it's
going to be in the second edition.
Okay, but like I say, like in the larger community, you got to see if you can make that stick, because everyone like used to like kind of like grit their teeth and say Pacotize, or they would just say spin. Really, they would just say spin it. Same word they would use in their standard ice cream machine. Spin it in the PacoJet, or spin it in the Paco. Yeah, it's a great technique, right? Because it's all about separation of variables. So in a standard ice cream machine, the crystal size is determined by the base, right? This is why if you jack your stuff with hydrocolloids that makes large crystals impossible, you can get a better texture even with a slower freeze time, right? Or you can, so in a standard machine, you have to have enough power to get the small ice crystals and to get the aeration right at the right time to get the right texture. A PacoJet just separates that out, just freeze it into a block and shave it into the crystals you want, and then whip the air into it. And same with a Creamy. What do you think they should have called it instead of a Creamy? Like anything?
Anything.
Yeah, literally anything.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that somebody thought that was a good idea, and then it passed all the rounds of people who thought that was a good name.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a business,
they do the thing where like everything's going to end with like an E sound.
Ninja?
Yeah, no, I'm saying like they have like the Ninja Speedy, they have now the Slushy, like they have a bunch of products that end with the E sound.
Dummy. They got to make it dummy. Yeah. This Creamy is just no good. Anyway, Kilner writes in. All right, Kilner. Kilner's writing in about Roman-style round thin crust pizza at home. Modernist claims there is no specific Roman style of pizza, but Ken Forkish has a recipe, and I'm sure I've had it myself in Rome. Since my Uni 16 Coda 16 gets very hot but has poor temperature control in the mid-range, my plan is to get it crisp using a Neapolitan dough at 64% hydration and roll it flat instead of stretching it. Do I have any recommendations? I don't know enough about this style of pizza, but I'll tell you who I'm going to hang out with on Sunday. Sunday. Wiley Dufresne's coming back from London. Bring me some Neil's Yard cheese. So I'll report on that. I'll ask him. If, Quinn, poke me to pester Wiley about this, and I'll ask him, see what he has to say.
Okay.
Mike C. writes in, I have a carbon steel knife that has a light layer of surface rust on it due to the continued high summer humidity. Diplomatic humidity. Remember, what was that? Lethal Weapon 3? Diplomatic immunity, and then he shoots him anyway? Yeah.
South Africans?
Yeah. I scrubbed the blade down with some Barkeeper's Friend. By the way, Mike, it took us a while to figure out what BKF was. Barkeeper's Friend. So Barkeeper's Friend is a mixture of oxalic acid. It's the acid that's converting the rust, right? And then a bunch of scrubby stuff, and then probably some surfactants, right? Okay. And it did a great job of removing the rust. The problem I've been having since then is my knife drawer now smells awful. I guess like Comet or Barkeeper's Friend. Because they smell similar, right? I'm trying to remember the smell of Barkeeper's Friend, but I think it's like Comet, no?
I think so.
Comet. The scent of the BKF has embedded itself inside of the knife block in my drawer, as well as all of my knives that have wooden handles. I'm wondering if there's a continued chemical reaction happening inside the drawer that's generating the smell. Any idea of how I could get rid of the stench? I don't know. It's possible. I guess if you don't remove the acid, there can continue to be a reaction, but it's mainly the acid that would be doing a reaction, the oxalic acid, so you'd have to kind of get rid of that. May I recommend, Mike, the next time you have this problem, I don't know who else sells them. I think Quinn might have been looking it up, but a rust eraser. So like whenever you buy a traditional carbon steel Japanese knife at like Korin here in the city, and if you're in New York City, go check out Korin for their amazing selection of knives, some stainless, some carbon steel, but always buy a rust eraser, which is like one of it's not like a Mr. Clean eraser. It's like a little bit abrasive, and it's embedded in a rubber matrix base, and like light rust, you just
Lodge sells one for $10 on Amazon.
It looks the same as the Korin one.
Don't know.
But they call it a rust eraser,
yeah.
And it like fits in your hand like a rubber eraser, like a pencil eraser.
Yeah,
light surface rust. Yeah. Get one. You won't be sorry. Yeah. And it's a non-acid way. It's like I think it's non-acid, like light abrasive. They might have some embedded acid in it. I don't think so. But it doesn't make your stuff smell, other than the fact that rust smells and metal dust smells. It's why, like, don't you guys hate? I used to rail on people. Don't you hate when you put stainless steel Bain Maries through dish and they come back and they haven't been kind of dried out and they just scrubbed and then you smell it. You're like, that metal smell.
But I do love the smell of a galvanized metal.
Really?
Oh, love it.
So do you know? Obviously, galvanized is like a zinc coating that. You can get this like welding fume fever if you overheat zinc. So I used to weld all the time, and I had to buy what I could afford. So I'd be like tack welding nuts, galvanized nuts and bolts all day to things like to make my crazy machines. And you can see the yellow, and you can see the fumes come up when you zap it with the thing. And man, you get real sick if you inhale too much zinc fumes. You really do. Don't do it. I'm going to go ahead and say, don't do that. Owen K writes in, I remember a Legacy episode where you talked about edible candle made from olive oil that melted after being lit and could be consumed. Any recollection on how that was done? I'm pretty sure I didn't hallucinate it, but I can't find the reference in the transcripts. Well, we did a mayonnaise. We're talking about a mayonnaise one that is like an old 50s thing where I think they gellify the mayonnaise and then light it, and it smells god-awful. That's what Casey Highsmith was saying. But I think Nick Coleman was on when we talked about it. We should have Nick Coleman back on. Isn't it fancy oil time right now? Shouldn't he be sending us some fancy oils right now so we can talk about them?
Started carrying fancy oils at Temperance.
Yeah, you asked me. Get that. Oh, if you go to Temperance Wine Bar, you can have Nick Coleman's fancy oils. Simon B says, in your new bar, I noticed you're using Glass Fan Nick and Nora glasses, which look fantastic, and I love the design, but unfortunately, they're too high in volume for pretty much any cocktail I'd want to serve in a coupe. Do you know of anyone that does a similar design of hand-blown coupe with the appropriate volume for cocktails like daiquiris and similar drinks that are, say, 3.5 ounces before dilution? Simon B., you are right. I'm going to talk to them and have them make a smaller freaking coupe. Those coupes are too damn big. Don't ask a wine person to make your coupes. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to rectify that because you are damn straight right. Barry M. writes in, could you please discuss the process of balancing tastes? One hears from food critics, especially on shows like Top Chef, about taste being out of balance. Can you give a process of procedure experimentation that helps one learn about how to balance taste? Barry, that's a long discussion. Quinn, you got to top load that in and we can talk about it next time, or maybe when we have a guest come.
We can save something for next episode.
All right. Bear Long Night. We have 38 seconds. I remember hearing about the hot cold toddy drink at Shinji's Bar on another podcast. Bartender at large, Eric Castro, and he gave a little explanation of how it was made, but I don't understand how it's possible for it to work as something be both hot and cold at the same time. We used to do that all the time. I don't know the one you're talking about, but the one that we used to do is pretty simple. It's just you make a gel and fluid gel, you heat one, and you chill the other. You put a little separator in, you pour the two next to each other, you pull out the separator. One side of the drink is hot, one side of the drink is cold. They can't mix because they're basically a fluid gel. And then when you drink one side, and it's whatever, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. Cooking issues.